All right, welcome back everyone for another deep dive. You know how this works. You send us something interesting, we dig into it, we share our thoughts, and we hopefully spark some great conversations along the way. So today's deep dive is focusing on something called 7 Rewards of Diligence. Now, we've all heard the whole hard work leads to success thing a million times, but this piece goes way deeper. Like it actually explores all these unexpected ways that consistent effort can really transform your life. Not just, your career or your bank account, but like you as a person.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. It's like this piece shines a light on how diligence really shapes us from the inside out. Like you were saying, it's not just about achievements, it's about character, relationships, even our sense of purpose.
Exactly. And the source like jumps right into this idea of diligence as self-discovery.
Yeah.
It even says it's not just about working hard. It's about like unlocking potential that you might not even know you have. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's what makes diligence so fascinating. It's this journey where you uncover hidden talents and strengths that you never even knew were there. Think
Yeah.
about it. I bet you've had times when you've taken on a project that seemed totally overwhelming at first, right? But then as you kind of diligently chipped away at it, you suddenly realized you had a knack for something you never expected. And then that sense of accomplishment, even in those small wins, it just fuels this whole cycle of growth. The more you achieve through that dedicated effort, the more confident you become in your abilities, which in turn motivates you to reach even higher.
Yeah. It's like that saying, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. And I feel like sometimes diligence is actually the path to discovering that love.
Totally.
And speaking of paths, the source also makes this point about diligence being this crucial tool for navigating all of life's curveballs, right? Like we all hit roadblocks, but a diligent mindset, I think, can really be the difference between feeling completely overwhelmed and like actually overcoming those challenges.
Couldn't agree more. It's all about cultivating resilience. Like the source makes this really interesting point about choosing to fight instead of just complaining. And I think that's so key. So a diligent person, when they're facing some kind of obstacle, they don't just sit around moaning about it. They actually start looking for solutions. They start strategizing ways to move forward. And that proactive approach is what transforms those challenges into opportunities for growth and learning.
I love that it's like instead of seeing a wall, you see a puzzle to solve.
Exactly.
And I think that problem-solving process, just that in itself, can be so incredibly rewarding.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The source even mentions this idea of the joy of accomplishment. And I think that ties directly into this whole concept of intrinsic motivation, that feeling of satisfaction that comes from putting in the effort, not just getting some external outcome.
100%. The source really highlights that inherent pleasure that comes from pushing yourself and actually achieving something through dedicated effort. Now, I bet if you think back, you can recall a time when you tackled a super demanding task. Maybe it was a challenging project at work, or maybe it was learning a new skill. But remember that deep satisfaction you felt when you finally completed it.
Yeah, totally.
That's the power of intrinsic motivation. And that's a key reward of diligence. It's not about seeking validation from others. It's about that inner fulfillment you get from the process itself.
It's like aligning your efforts with your values,
Yeah, yeah.
which I think brings us to another point that the source brings up, this idea of diligence as a reflection of character.
Mm.
And, how we approach our responsibilities, it really does speak volumes about who we are at our core, doesn't it?
Yeah. This is where diligence becomes way more than just a means to an end. It becomes a way of shaping our inner selves. Think about the kind of qualities that diligence fosters: patience, perseverance, commitment, honesty. These aren't just empty words, these are the actual building blocks of strong character.
It's like building ethical muscle through consistent effort.
That's a great way to put it.
And that moral muscle, I think, can even have this ripple effect. Like it goes beyond our personal lives and starts to impact our relationships and our social standing. The source actually makes the argument that diligence earns respect and builds trust.
It does. It's all about building what sociologists call social capital. And think about it. When you're known for being a diligent person, for consistently coming through on your promises, for always putting in the effort, people notice that. And it builds this reputation of reliability and trustworthiness. And those are invaluable qualities in any social setting or professional setting.
Absolutely. It makes you think about the long game. How those small acts of diligence can build up over time and create this whole network of really strong, meaningful connections.
For sure.
But even beyond that external validation, I think there's a big internal reward that comes with consistently putting in the effort.
Yeah.
And the source even talks about this. It mentions diligence as this pathway to self-respect.
It is. It's about living in alignment with your values. Diligence, even when you're faced with setbacks, it just reinforces a sense of integrity. It kind of affirms to yourself that you're living in accordance with your principles, that you're not shying away from challenges, but you're facing them head on. And I think that inner knowing, that sense of staying true to yourself, that is the foundation of genuine self-respect.
Yeah. It's that feeling of knowing you gave it your all, regardless of the outcome. And I think finally that the source speaks to this idea of diligence as a source of meaning. This idea that dedicated effort, when it's directed towards something we believe in, can really fill our lives with a sense of purpose.
Right. It's about finding that guiding star for all of our actions. Because when we channel our diligence towards goals that are actually meaningful, whether it's a personal project or pursuing something we're passionate about professionally, or even just showing up for the people we care about, it gives our lives direction. It gives us that feeling of fulfillment. Because we are, at the end of the day, creatures of purpose. We thrive when we have something to strive for. And I think diligence, in this sense, becomes the fuel that propels us forward towards a life that feels both meaningful and impactful.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, right? We went from self-discovery to resilience, from intrinsic rewards to character building, the social impact, self-respect, and finally finding meaning. And it seems pretty clear that these 7 rewards of diligence are all super interconnected. They create this powerful cycle of growth and fulfillment.
They do. And the best part is that anyone listening can tap into the cycle. Think about a challenge you're facing right now, or maybe a goal you're working towards. How can you use these principles of diligence, this consistent, dedicated effort, to approach it from a totally fresh perspective?
I love that. An invitation for all of us to really reflect on our experiences with diligence, to recognize its power, not just in achieving our goals, but also in shaping who we are and how we interact with the world around us.
Exactly.
And with that, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive. Hopefully these insights have sparked a new appreciation for how transformative diligence can truly be in your own life. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration.
See you then.